Hello and welcome once again to Sydney Motorsport Park for the opening round of the Hi-Tec Oils Australian FX-Superbike Championship of 2018. I'm Lance Robertson, and on today's program we have all the action from our support categories. First up is the Shock Treatment 400 Supersports. We saw some outstanding competition in last season's championship, won in convincing fashion by Max Croker. There were also some star standouts like KTM rider Keogh Watson, who is back for 2018 and aiming for much bigger things after finishing fourth last season. Becky Lamb is with the KTM rider right now.
Keogh Watson, you finished fourth in 2017. 2018 is a whole new season. What do you expect?
Well, I'd like to stay right up the front this season. So we had a good day yesterday, getting pole and then the 3 race wins, and I only didn't lead for 1 lap all day, so hopefully we can keep it up again today and throughout the season.
2017 brought you quite a few achievements as well. It was your first season in the Shock Treatment 400 Super Sprint, my apologies. But your main competition, let's talk through those guys.
So this year it's mostly going to be Mitch Kuhn and Andrew Edzer, I'd say. So yeah, we've got a little bit of pace over them at the moment, but I think mostly it's just going to be my consistency, just keep knocking the laps over, don't make too many errors, and just try sort of be there for the long run.
We'll pick up the action with race 3, but before we do, there was plenty of action in the opening 2 races of the Sunday program. Despite winning all 3 races on the Saturday, the KTM of Keogh Watson got away to a slow start as Mitchell Kuhn aboard his Yamaha R3 got the jump into turn 1. But Watson was quickly not messing about and romped around the outside of Kuhn to claim the lead by the time they reached Bike Biz turn 2. Watson started to streak away from his opposition, and by the time they reached Patrice Damper's turn 6, he had opened up a small but comfortable gap over Andrew Edzer, followed by Kuhn. Behind the top 3, the real battle was brewing between Jason Whitehead, Robert Penman, Trent Thompson and Brendan Watson, who incidentally was riding Julie Klinker's Kawasaki Ninja 300 this weekend and showing impressive pace on a bike he was not used to. By half distance, Edzer threw down a challenge for the race lead, and the Kawasaki rider passed the KTM of Watson at turn 9. The lead, however, was short-lived as Watson slingshot past Edzer along the Hi-Tec Oils main straight a few corners later. Further back, there was no love lost as the battle for fourth intensified. They would soon be joined in the dying stages by Keegan Pickering, who was more than holding her own in this fight. On the last lap, Edzer attempted to go around the outside of Watson at the final corner, but came off second best and low-sided off the track. This allowed Watson to take a comfortable win with Kuhn in second and Watson in third. The next race at lunchtime was just as action-packed. Like race 1, Watson was slow away at the start as Kuhn and a fast-starting Pickering roared to the front as they negotiated turn 1. But, as in race 1, Watson would claw his way back to the front as Pickering went from first to fourth in the space of 2 corners. By the time they reached Patrice Damper's turn 6, it was Watson ahead of Edzer and Kuhn, with Pickering rounding the tail in the lead pack. Whilst Brendan Watson again was mixing it in the midfield and wasn't afraid to get the elbows out. Kuhn would take second spot at the commencement of lap 2, but Edzer stuck onto the tail of the Yamaha and found his way back past Kuhn at Bike Biz turn 2 just moments later. This allowed Watson once again to open up a sizable lead. Further back in the pack, it was the battle stations between Whitehead, Thompson and Watson once again. The trio were passing for positions quite a few times during the 6-lap encounter, whilst giving enough respect to their opposition. As Edzer and Kuhn continued their race-long fight for second place, Watson would race away to take out this second race unchallenged. Edzer would fend off Kuhn right to the line and take second place, whilst Keegan Pickering stayed out of trouble to finish fourth. So here's the grid for race 3. Keogh Watson starts from pole ahead of Andrew Edzer and Mitchell Kuhn. On row 2 we have Keegan Pickering, Robert Penman and Brendan Watson. Row 3 sees Jason Whitehead, Trent Thompson and Craig White. And on the 4th row we have Kevin Cochran, Cameron Shaw and Kurt Johns.
But the person to watch here is Keegan Pickering, 40-odd kilos.
Yep.
She comes from nowhere and just motors past everyone.
She certainly does. She's on the second row of the grid. She has a bit of an opening aperture there between Keogh and Andrew Edzer. And look at her, she gets a blinding start again, does young Keegan Pickering. She is the pint-sized pocket rocket on a pint-sized pocket rocket. But Keogh Watson it is that swoops around the outside and gets the whole shot at the end of the Hi-Tec Oils main straight through turn number 1. Can he block his line there there. I know that his father sitting next to me there would be extremely proud of him if he can manage to do that, and he does so.
That's a brilliant start. That's the first decent start he's had all weekend. But the boy who's behind him, Andrew Edge, is very quick around the back of the track. Keo's got a bit of a horsepower advantage this weekend. I don't mind admitting that. It's good.
Yes.
But Andrew's very quick around the back, especially through 11 and 12.
How important is it, the training that you've been able to give him to block those sorts of openings? Late last year, he left openings wider than a barn door on occasions, and everybody, including us in commentary, was constructively critical of that happening.
Well, I'm to blame for that, because I showed him the lines that I race when I'm going very fast if there's no one behind me. But I didn't tell him that this is not the line you race when you've got people up the inside of you. So now I've educated him that you need to look behind and have a look and see where they are, and don't leave that big gate opening.
Well, halfway point of the opening lap, Keo Watson's made every post a winner at the moment, and without wanting to put the commentary mockers on him, looks like ending up with a perfect score at the end of the day. The battles, though, will continue throughout, and some of those including people like even Craig White, who's a stalwart in all of this.
Well, we've got Craig White, Robert Penman, they're fighting out the FOB thing. And we've also got Brendan Watson there, and it's like a three-way duel. There's no love lost at the moment. They've bumped elbows. They're actually having a go at one another in the pits. It's all what it's about.
On screen now is Brendan Watson. Definitely his figure, not Julie Clinker's.
Beg your pardon. Lance, how can you say such a thing? Let's just say he's mildly plump.
Okay, there we go. Down the main straight for the first time, down the Hi-Tec Oils main straight. Keo Watson, Andrew Edzer, Mitch Kuhn, Keegan Pickering up into fourth place. By gee, she's a mighty performer. Brendan Watson, then we have Penman, Whitehead, Thompson, Craig White, Johns, then we have Gaddies, Shaw and Corcoran rounding up your 13 runners.
And Andrew Edzer is rocking the new leathers now because he destroyed a set before. So he destroyed a set on Friday, and then he's gone back to, I think, the original set now.
Well, he was in camouflage yesterday, unfortunately fell off and then had to change those ones again.
Yeah. Well, Mitchell Kuhn did the same. He
in camouflage, leathers. Yes, exactly. Up over the top of bikehaggle.com.au downhill and into Dunlop for lap 2 of 6. This is the battle with Penman and Whitehead. Whitehead coming on strongly, but here's the front runners now.
There's still a knee scraper in the middle of the track there from the previous race too, Lance.
That's Brendan McIntyre's knee scraper. We know where it is, Brendan, if you're looking for it. It's halfway between the inside and outside edge of turn 4.
I'll tell you what, Keo, I think, gapped them here. He's got a shock that comes in from Thailand, a Korean shock. Not a Korean shock, I've lost that flop there, haven't I, Lance? A geared shock, and he puts it to good use because he said he's got lots of drive out of the corners on everyone. It
looks more stable than it has done in the past, and that's good for not only him but also for the KTM brand. This mix of motorcycles, Yamaha, Kawasaki, KTM, everybody said that it wouldn't work, that it shouldn't happen, but it has. It's worked well.
Well, they've all got their benefits in different places. The Kawasaki's definitely strong around the back of the track. The Yamaha's strong everywhere, and Keo said there's not much difference in outright speed, but his KTM has the jump off the corners, and it actually translates to big speeds at the end of the straight, which works for him. So we've got a great battle here. Like this, it's fantastic. Keegan Pickering's out there running around well.
Yeah, she's doing a great job. She's on the light blue liveried machine, but being hounded down there right behind her by Brendan Watson. It's rather remarkable. You've got a weight of next to nothing, and possibly the maximum weight that could be on a bike here this weekend.
40 kilos to 100 kilos, that's the difference. So Brendan's actually carrying a passenger with him. You can't see it, but there's one there.
I do that in commentary.
No, that's me, Lance. Can you just, if I jump on your back, will you take me down to get a drink later?
Looking at them down there, a replay here of some of the action in terms of the slipstreaming that has been occurring down the Hi-Tec Oils main straight. If he can get close enough to be in front of her at the beginning of the straight, he's got a chance of holding her off. We saw that in the previous races, but not if Keegan's in front. You're dead right. The lightweight nature of Keegan's physique and the bike, it just powers on, and he doesn't have enough girth in front of him, if you like, to slipstream properly.
No. When he's in front of her, he's breaking a lot of wind, and I don't mean that. I mean that in the sense of he's making a gap in the air for her.
Okay, there you go. Keegan's gone wide. Brendan tried to get up the inside. In the meantime, Keogh Watson on board machine number 43. The Silcoline Gears Racing, C&M Motorcycles, Self-Storage, KTM RC390 continues on his leading way. His lead was 3.5 seconds. Let's see if he's been able to increase that or at least maintain it over the last lap, ahead of Andrew Edzer in second place.
I was saying some of the fellas back, the FOB guys, aren't tucking down enough. You've got to be right under that screen. But I was actually informed that some of their bellies are too big and they can't get down over the tank.
Keegan Pickering, we've lost her by the looks of it. She's dusted, busted and disgusted on the outside. I think you'll find that that may well have been at Shark Leather's turn. We'll wait for confirmation of that. You could see that she's up, she's okay. No injury or damage to her. In the meantime, though, we've got a good battle with Whitehead and Thompson, I think you'll find.
This is Jason Whitehead's first time at this track. He comes from Central Queensland, and it's actually very good. Trent Thompson has ridden here quite a few times, but like Trent is a really nice boy. And it's good to see these guys out there. They're having a bit of banter in the pits before, slapping one another on the back. They all get on well. That's
what it's all about, though. I mean, it's good, clean, tough racing and competition and what have you, but you've got to have that friendly rivalry and respect for each other.
It's got to be fun, Lance. You don't want to go home and hate people. Like, it's just, I say to my son all the time, this is all about fun. You know, like, you have to look at it that way all the time.
Absolutely, and it's certainly good advice for anybody, no matter how young or old you are, especially in this form of motorsport.
Keogh's got that bike for sale at the moment for $5,500. Now, he doesn't want to sell it now because he's winning on it.
Look at this side by side. You can see there that it looks like Whitehead has been overtaken by Thompson.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. This is what it's all about. Two guys just having a bit of fun.
Penman, I should say, not Watson, I beg your pardon. On the outside, Penman. On the inside is Whitehead. Managed to maintain his racing line there. Again, further back through the pack, it doesn't matter where it is. This is for 11th and 10th placing. 10th and 11th placing, and still the determination of each of them wanting to get the one-upmanship on them.
Well, Cameron Shaw is actually a pilot.
Okay.
And he actually sails small sailing boats and races them. That's number 66. Now, Cameron's son is Yanni Shaw, who's out here racing, and Cameron got talked into this by Yanni to do the father and son thing, a bit like myself and Keogh. So maybe one day we could have a father and son race, you know, just to see what happens.
That'd be good. My son joined us in commentary here for the first time yesterday. Oh, we've got an outlet there. Oh.
Robert Penman.
Penman on the outside, just outbroke himself.
So that gives Jason Whitehead an easy place there. He's in 6th.
On lap 5 of 6, it's still Keogh Watson, Andrew Edzer and Mitch Kuhn, your top 3 runners. Down into turn 9. The entrance for the run down the races.world back straight. Into turn 10s and 11 and 12, Shark Leather's corner.
There's a tip there for all these riders too. A few of them said, we can't can't get down under the screen. If you watch Keogh, he actually sits on the back tailpiece.
He does.
So he can get his head under the screen.
Yep.
And I said that to a few of the other boys. You need to get your head down lower so there's less drag.
Very casual exit of Shark Leathers, even one arm up on the hip. Yes, 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 I'm sure he's saying he'll have a smile on the dial, wider than a Cheshire cat, as he comes across, shaking his fist and pumping. All kudos to you, Keogh Watson. 6 from 6, the perfect weekend. Let's have a look at recapping the results. Keogh Watson victorious on the KTM RC390 ahead of the Kawasaki Ninja 300 of Andrew Edzer. Mitch Kuhn rounding up your top 3 on the Yamaha R3. Brendan Watson, Jason Whitehead, Robert Penman, Trent Thompson, Craig White and Kurt Johns. P10 going to Cam Shaw on board his Kawasaki Ninja 300.
Yeah, thanks. I'm over the moon with it. I've just been sort of working hard all weekend to just try and build some pace and just keep the consistency up, and it's paid off. So I think the key is just to try and minimise the mistakes you make, especially like in a bigger mistake which could result in a DNF or something. So yeah, just make sure I finish every race and sort of be up there all the time.
The Shock Treatment 400 Supersports return for more racing at the next round at Queensland Raceway. But after the break, we go racing with the Pro Twins Naked Bikes and SuperTwins 700s, as well as the AM Sport 600s. Thanks for joining us again at Sydney Motorsport Park for our continued opening round coverage of the 2018 Hi-Tec Oils Australian FX-Superbike Championship. Next up on today's program are the exotics of the FX Pro Twins, NakedBikes and SuperTwins 700s. And one of the leading contenders for the 2018 title chase is also doing double duties in the bikehaggle.com.au Superbikes. It's Ryan Yanko, and he caught up with Becky Lamb earlier today.
Ryan Yanko, you're a busy boy this weekend. You're racing in two classes, in the Pro Twins and in the Superbikes. Talk to me through the difference in the two bikes and when you get on them and how you change your mental setup.
Definitely both classes are different. The Superbike class is a lot more competitive with a lot faster riders out there. The tyres are different as well between the two classes, so playing with setup on the bikes to try and get the best out of what we have to run here this weekend.
How does it feel to be riding those bikes and they're two different things? How do you switch from one to the other in your head?
It's sort of, all in the head. You just flick the switch before you hop on the bike and get out there, and after the first couple of laps everything sort of falls into place and it sorts itself out.
How do you feel about the competitiveness in the Superbikes class this year?
Yeah, really good. It's a competitive field. There's a lot of really fast riders out there, and happy to be up close to the front of it anyway and mixing it with those guys. So.
Before we pick up the racing action, let's have a look back at races 1 and 2. In the opening Sunday race, it was Ryan Yanko who commandeered the early lead ahead of the Yamaha of Brendan Watson and the Aprilia of Nick Marsh. Watson's stranglehold of second was brief as the Aprilia forced his way through at Matrice Dampers turn 6 and charged towards Yanko and the Ducati. Marsh would cling on to the Ducati for much of the 6-lap journey, and despite trading similar lap times, Marsh and the Aprilia couldn't find a way to get past. That was until half-race distance when Marsh got into the tow behind Yanko and flew past him on the approach to turn 1. Despite Yanko's best intentions to stay with the Aprilia, Marsh was just too good in the opening Sunday race, taking out the win by almost 2 seconds. Watson fell back on his Yamaha FZ1 to finish in third, more than 10 seconds behind. Conditions were significantly hotter when they took to the start for race 2 around lunchtime, and everyone thought Yanko and the Ducati would again gain the upper hand thanks to the well-rounded V-twin torque. But it was Marsh and his Aprilia that led into turn 1, with Watson tagging onto Yanko in third. As the top three started to pull away into their own battle, Aaron Breezy and Simon Galloway were having their own battle for fourth position, a battle that would continue for much of the 6-lap distance. It was also a welcome return to the Pro Twins and NakedBike class for Galloway, having previously won the title quite some time ago. By lap 2, Yanko was growing tired of playing second fiddle to Marsh and charged his way back to the front at Bike Biz turn 2. From there, Yanko would clear out and open up a sizable lead. Whilst further back, Aaron Smith tagged on to the fourth place fight developing between Breesy and Galloway and would claim fourth in the dying stages. Back at the front, it was all smooth sailing for Yanko as he cruised into a 3-second win ahead of Marsh's Aprilia. Watson again finished third aboard his Yamaha. So this is the grid for the final race of the weekend. The front row consists of Yanko, Marsh and Watson, with Aaron Smith leading the way on row 2 alongside Aaron Breesy and Simon Galloway. On row 3 we have Craig Masters, Steen Walsh and Bill Birdsey, whilst on the fourth and final row we have Kevin Corcoran and Luke Ruckwood. Good start by Nick Marsh. Yep. An excellent start from the middle of the front row of the grid, and he'll take up the running as they head down through turn 1 for the first time.
Yes, Watson, another good start from Brendan. He's up in third, and in second place is Ryan Yanko on 1.82.
Well, they're a little bit more settled and circumspect on the opening lap this time around. Normally it's a gaggle of them all down there, but line astern, very, very quiet by comparison.
Yes, as they head up over towards bikehaggle.com.au over the bridge, and it is still Nick Marsh leading from Ryan Yanko and Brendan Watson. Then we've got Breezy, Masters, Smith, Walsh and Galloway up out through Dunlop and make the run up the hill towards Matrice Dampers. And it is still Marsh, but Yanko now lands right on his back tyre as they come around the back of Shock Treatment Hill and head down towards races.world.
Yeah, Ryan Yanko winding up that Ducati 1299, the Better Pork Kabuto 5 gloves entry. he'll be a real force to be reckoned with, not that far away, I'm sure. He's been fairly dominant in this class, although having said that, you've got to make all credit to Nick Marsh on his Superbike Source GTH equipment, roofing, S-Market, High-Mead, Signs, Aprilia RSV4.
Yes, gets a big handful of throttle as he comes down out of Shark Leather's turn 12. Gets himself set up to make a run on our race leader, who at this stage is Nick Marsh on 15. Bit of movement back further through the field. It looks like number 35 coming through. That's Aaron Smith on the 4SR Australia Aprilia.
Yeah, just overtook Simon Galloway, now has Masters in his sight, just ahead of him.
Down they come into bikebiz.com.au. Round through that left-hander, so it's Marsh from Yanko, Watson, Breezy, Masters, Smith, Galloway, Walsh, Ruckley, Corcoran and Birdsey. They're the top 11. Over bikehaggle.com.au down into Dunlop, and all the change almost took place then through Dunlop, but not to be. Up through to the Matrice dampers. Now on the inside is Yanko, but Marsh covers his line through there around the back of Shock Treatment Hill. Getting away a little bit as Marsh, but Yanko will close that down coming into races.world as they line up for the left-hander, or the right-hander, sorry. Come down into the right-hander. They both keep a nice tight line through there, and down the races.world straight and heading over towards Shark Leathers once again.
Yeah, good lead there. Comfortable lead at the moment, but still a lot of pressure being applied by Ryan Yanko. These two riders, of course, part and parcel of the FX Pro Twins Formula One. All V4 cylinder bikes over 990 cc's, or 3-cylinder over 1050, or 2-cylinder 4-valve water-cooled engines over 1100, and all 2-cylinder air-cooled engines over 1610 cc's are classified as a Formula One entry in this FX Pro Twins class.
Marsh still holds onto the lead down through bikebiz.com.au. Yanko is all over the back of him now, just trying to force him into a mistake as they come up over bikehaggle.com.au. Down the inside, looked for an inside line at Dunlop was Yanko, but nothing there for him as they settle back in line astern again. Out through Dunlop, the last left-hander at Dunlop, and up to Matrice.
Here he comes up the inside. Ryan Yanko manages to do it, goes right across where all that oil line was and dusted down. Had to slow it because he needed to keep the bike more upright. That's allowed Nick Marsh to come back and assume again the race lead.
Yes, it was. He takes him down through
Ryan Yanko again.
Races.world. Too wide. No.
Up onto the back wheel, a bit of shimmy and shake. Oh, Yanko, what a bold manoeuvre there to take up the running again.
Yes, back in the front, so that's the lead changed 3 times in that quarter of a lap.
3 times in 4 corners.
Yes, that's right.
Out onto the main straight, the Hi-Tec Oils main straight they go. Ryan Yanko leading marginally. Here comes Marsh now, does the slipstream up the inside, forces Yanko a little bit wide. Can he maintain his position though? Will Yanko come back up the inside under brakes? The answer is yes.
And,
Marsh backs off.
Has he gone wide? No, he had.
Marsh has gone up the inside.
He has.
Yes, he did. You could see him back off there. He knew that Yanko was going to go too deep. Yanko fighting back on the outside. Oh, sliding over the top of the oil, up onto the back wheel again.
Yes, they gets a good launch there, doesn't he, from bikehaggle.com.au.
He tries it up the inside of Dunlop. Very tenacious indeed. What a determined piece of throttle action that was.
He was very lucky to stay on that, Lance.
Side by side again, up into Matrice suspension. Yanko's gone a little bit wide. Marsh can't get the power down to the ground like he did last time.
Down into races.world around the back of Shock Treatment Hill. Just watching further back down through the field. It is Yanko in front of Marsh as they come down through races.world. see them around the back now, watching a couple of the back markers. That's number
Galloway.
7, that's Galloway, young Simon Galloway. And behind him is
Smith.
Smith, yeah.
Galloway's just overtaken Smith. Relegated him a little bit further back than he would like. I think he's actually probably made a mistake or got maybe missed a gear or something like that, because he and Galloway were much closer to each other than what they are.
Really ringing
What they were. That entry is the Evo Racing Australia Pirelli Pirabon X60R of Simon Galloway. Pirabon, of course, primarily being the framework design of most bikes.
Piece of engineering. Okay, 27 just Craig Masters, sorry.
Yeah, the 21 of Masters and the 12 of Walsh having a good battle. A little bit further back in 7th and 8th placing.
Yanko heading Marsh, Watson, Breezy, Galloway, Smith, Masters, Walsh, Birds and Ruckley.
On the second last lap, 5 out of 6 up over the top of bikehaggle.com.au hill is this battle for 7th and 8th, being held down at the moment by Smith, just ahead of Masters. Galloway in front of them, Breezy in front of them, and then the front 3 runners, Ryan Yanko, Nick Marsh and Brendan Watson.
Up through Matisse Dampers. 21. Masters. Batting old Smith out as they head down around the back of Shock Treatment Hill. So they start their final lap as our leaders, Yanko and Marsh, are well on their way to completing their 6th and final lap. So they come round the back and head in towards Bike Haggle. There they are at the top.
Brendan Watson back in 3rd place. If he could have been close enough to Nick Marsh, might have ended up with 2nd on the day. But as it stands at the moment, Ryan Yanko leading with 145 points, should finish ahead on 143 of Brendan Watson and a 123 of Nick Marsh overall for their races on the weekend.
Yanko has it well in control as they come down into races.world.
Having said that, he's coming on very strong. Yanko's only got a falter minorly. He had a different line there, getting good run down races.world into the Shark Leathers turns 11 and 12.
Galloway's gone down the inside of Smith, the Breezy now to move up to 4th spot.
Yeah, good effort there from Simon Galloway. Breezy's not really given up the chase, but here it is for Ryan Yanko. Finishes in fine style. He'll take the weekend out ahead of Nick Marsh in 2nd. Brendan Watson, a lonely 3rd placing. Aaron Breezy, Simon Galloway, Aaron Smith, Craig Masters, Stain Walsh, Bill Birdsey and Luke Ruckley rounding up your top 10.
That was a really tough race. Nick put a lot of pressure on me, and I think we swapped the lead about 4 or 5 times. It was really good. Nice clean racing, plenty of overtaking. So happy that I got 5 out of the 6 races in 1st position. So, and yeah, it gives me a good lead at the QR as well when we head up there.
Well done to Ryan Yanko, who dominated all but one of the races in the opening round of the Pro Twins Naked Bikes and SuperTwins 700. We'll see them again in full anger at the next round at Queensland Raceway. But right now, it's time for the AmSport 600 standalone race for the older model Supersports. We had some really good racing last year by the men and women contesting these races, and this year each of the standalone races will count towards the championship. So here's how they line up for the 6-lap encounter. Robbie Tesoriero will start off the front row and on pole position, with Brad Glennon and Brian Bolster alongside him. Row 2 is Aidan Pellegrin, Mary Molina and Hayden Kinman. On the next 2 rows, we have Brooke Ernst, Daniel McCarthy, Gavin Moody, Matthew Franco, Justin Case and Cameron Harbour. In the starters' hands now, 6 laps duration to close the program here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Underway they go. Looks like Robbie Tesorero's got a good start on the outside, but coming up there's Brad Glennon. He's going to challenge him, but Tesorero it is that leads at the end of the Hi-Tec Oils main straight.
Yes, round the back they go and head over towards bikebiz.com.au corner, and already Tesorero, he has dominated this class this weekend. This is the Matrice Dampers AM Sport 600s. I think he's won. Well, I don't know. I'd have to go. go back through the records there, but I don't know whether he's been beaten this weekend either, has he, in this class?
I'm not quite sure either, but it doesn't matter. This is the standalone. Forget about what's happened in the past.
Right.
That's history. Now we're looking at the present in terms of Robbie Tesoriero doing as good a job as he can on the Landbridge Transport Yamaha R6. He wants to go out on a winning note, there's no doubt about that, and he's opened up rather a sizable lead at the moment over the 39 of Brad Glennon, the Ultra Spray truck painting Suzuki GSX R600.
Then the next one through is Bolster, then we've got Ernst, then Pellegrin, Moody, Franco, Case, Harbour, McCarthy, Molina, there's Mary Molina now, McMahon, Edza and Chapman. So round the back they come, down out of bikebears.com.au and head down towards Races World, races.world. And very good coming off bikehaggle.com.au hill. There's 26 is there, that's Ernst, and 67 is Pellegrin. They're battling it out for 5th and 6th position as they head down the Hi-Tec oils straight for the first of 6 times.
This is all about showcasing the older model 600 Supersports, showing that they're still capable of great competition and friendly rivalry out there. They are not the most modern of 600 Supersports. They've got a little bit of wear and tear on them, just like the commentators up here.
Yes, it's a very good description, Lance. You're right. After 17 races today is a fair bit of wear and tear. Oh, just moving nicely up the inside, number 67.
Adrian Pellegrin.
Yeah, Pellegrin on Bolster.
Yeah, up the inside of Bolster. Pellegrin on the Triumph Daytona 675. In fact, that was Brooke Ernest that lost the place to Pellegrin, not Bolster. But as we take another look at that pass down at Bike Biz Turn 2, you can see that Ernst carried a little too much and went wide slightly, and Pellegrin saw the opportunity to duck down the inside and take 4th spot on the road.
Just look at the size of the field that is still prepared to front up for racing. It just goes to show you how much all of these riders love their racing. I dare say if we had another 17 events still to do, they'd still be out there in great numbers. They just love their racing. Lights. They might, that's all right. They got lights here. They got lights, but it's just great. The enthusiasm of all the riders is just it's infectious. So it's really great to see.
That's what the premier privateer racing categories of motorsport, motorcycle racing is all about here as part and parcel of the 2018 Hi-Tec Oils Australian FX-Superbike Championship. The FX series is in its 22nd year and certainly just continues to get stronger and stronger, doesn't it?
It certainly does. As the riders now come around, we're in mid-race distance. They come around this time, they will be starting their 4th lap. We are almost halfway through the final event, the Matrice Dampers AM Sport 600s. This is for the older model 600s, and Robbie Tesoriero is the rider who is leading with a 2.6 second lead. He's riding machine number 46. Brad Glennon on 39 is in 2nd place, and in 3rd is Bolster on 22. Pellegrin on 67. Fastest lap at this stage going to our race leader Tesoriero with a 1:38.5. The other riders are all in 39 plus.
Yeah, 39.3, 39.4, 39.3.
Yep.
Then we get into the 140s a little bit further back, so he is dominant by a good 0.8 up to a second. A good manoeuvre there up the inside. Heading down into bikebiz.com.au. Both riders not wanting to relinquish it, are they?
No, that was
Case and Franco.
Yeah, Case and Franco.
Yeah, Franco's been forced a little bit wide. Case got up the inside. In the meantime, Robbie Tesoriero on board the Landbridge Transport Yamaha R6 quite comfortably in front, as we mentioned. He's got about a 3-second lead, if not more.
Yes,
3rd sector.
3rd sector, yeah. Tesoriero now 2.98 second lead from Glennon.
He's just put in his best lap as well, a 1:38.7, so it's only 0.2 slower than Robbie Tesoriero's best lap. 2 laps after Tesoriero put it down. As we can see that there's still plenty of action happening with riders getting up the inside. That was Pellegrin up the inside of Bolster.
There's no big pardons between these two, is there? They've been swapping places constantly right throughout the Matrice Dampers AM Sport 600s. and no quarter asked or given.
Glenn, in a fairly lonely affair, isn't it? Ultra
Yes.
spray painting, truck painting, I should say, on his Suzuki GSX-R 600. Out of the final turn, this battle for 7th, 8th and 9th placing being held down by Mary Molina as our race leader commences his final lap for the rundown Hi-Tec Oils front straight through turn 1.
The riders are back there, 4.6 and 5.1 back. That would put Tesseriro at possibly at races.world, I think, our leader.
Oh, look at these two side by side. They're on their final lap. It is the final race of the program, but they're not finally over with the competition, are they?
They are not. They're going to take it right down to the wire. Yep. Yes, and they'll all share a drink and a handshake this afternoon, and we'll relive at the presentation tonight every lap of these 33 races we've had this weekend.
Yeah, how many true stories are we going to listen to? How many tall tales will be told?
Right, yeah.
But it's all about the fun and the proximity of close racing like we've seen throughout the entire weekend. Mary Molina there on board machine number 93, the Race Tune Moto VSR, Versar BD Racing FSCG Yamaha R6.
There's our leader, Tesseriro.
Yes.
Coming down into Shark Leathers for the last time. Heels it over right and heels it over right even further. It's a 2 in 1 corner.
I hope it's left that he's just turned, not right.
Oh, sorry, left, yeah, left. Yeah.
The run down the Hi-Tec Oils main straight for the final time here this weekend. Congratulations to Robbie Tesseriro on the Landbridge Transport Yamaha R6. Victorious ahead of Brad Glennon on his Ultra Spray truck painting Suzuki GSX 600 and the Triumph Daytona of Adrian Pellegrin. Brian Bolster finished in P4, followed home by Brooke Burness, just in case Mary Molina, Daniel Mccarthy and Matt Franco. Andrew Edzer on board machine 305 was our top 10.
Yeah, we had a really good day yesterday, and we were setting some pretty good lap times, some pace, and working with the suspension. And conditions today were a little bit different from yesterday, so the setup that we had for yesterday didn't quite work as well today. But we worked through the day. The guys in the team did a really good job to get me onto the podium today, and I'm grateful for it.
There's more racing to come from the Hi-Tec Oils Australian FX-Superbike Championship coming up after the break, as we bring you all the action from the Races World Formula Oz class. Welcome back to Sydney Motorsport Park for our continued opening round coverage of the Hi-Tec Oils Australian FX Superbike Championship. It's now time for one of the most popular classes on our supports bill. It's the Races World Formula Oz class for B, C and D grade riders. Last season, Brett Kitchen took out the Formula Oz B grade title in the final race of the year. This season he moves up to the Superbike class but remains a fan of this class of racing, and Becky Lamb finds out why.
Brett Kitchen, you're the Formula Oz champion of 2017 and you've stepped it up this year to Superbikes. So talk me through the difference in the two bikes.
Well, I'm actually riding the same bikes, but the class rules are different in Superbike compared to Formula Oz. So Formula Oz, you can really do any modifications you like to the bike, pretty much. You can do anything to the engines, you can hot rod them, you can do anything to the chassis of the bike, really. As long as they still look like a bike and they're in safe condition, you know, you can race whatever you like. So last year, despite having that freedom of rules, I was riding these bikes anyway, engines unmodified. The other thing with Formula Oz is you can run any tyre you like and any number of tyres. So the main difference in Superbike this year, you've got restriction on what you can do to the bike, and you've got a control tyre. So you've got the Dunlop control tyre. You're allocated 3 sets for the weekend, and that's got to do qualifying and all of the racing on Saturday and Sunday.
So take us through some of the differences like you've just done in comparison when you're actually racing the bike. There's obviously different challenges that you've got to overcome.
Well, probably the biggest challenge in Superbike is you really got to bring your A game, because you've got all the A game players here and some very experienced people here that are quite fast. So you're with the top step guys, and And so then everything's got to be right. The bike has to be perfect. You have to have the bike perfectly dialed into the tyres, because if a bike's not dialed into the tyres, you wear those short allocation of tyres out, you wear them out more quickly, and you'll be slower. So everything's got to be on point.
We'll be picking up the action with the third and final race on the Sunday program, but let's have a look at the previous 2 races today. Race 1 was unfortunately dogged by 2 crashes that brought out the red flag. In the first attempt, Simon Barbachetto got the early jump from the rest of the field and led into turn 1 with Joel Rhodes slopping into second. Brett Harper would settle into third the first few corners before charging his way into the lead at Matrice Dampers turn 6 on the opening lap. As they started the second lap, Simon Barbachetto was sitting comfortably in the top 3 before losing the front end of his Yamaha R1 at Bikebiz turn 2 and landing on the outer apex. Further problems arose around the back of Shock Treatment Hill as Owen Ironside parked his BMW S1000RR with mechanical issues and thus bringing out the red flag. The race was restarted a short time later. However, it would go no further than turn 2 as Daniel Ayash overcooked it on the approach and was too late to stop his Ducati, colliding with another rider in the process. The race was declared with half points awarded. Many were hoping for an incident-free race 2, and their wishes were answered. David Birch aboard his Kawasaki got the whole shot at the start, with Harper and Lee Appleby following behind him as they went through turn 1. Birch would remain in the race lead for 2/3 of the opening lap before Harper found a gap at Races World turn 9 and claimed the race lead from there on. However, Birch wasn't going to give up the race lead without a fight, and the pair turned it on for the fans over the next few laps. The battle for third was just as interesting, as Appleby duelled with Christian Carroll and Michael Jeffrey during the early stages of the race. Whilst further back, Barbachetto was charging his way back after starting race 2 from the tail of the field. Despite Birch's early challenge, the Kawasaki expired with a lap to go, leaving Harper romp home to the race win unchallenged. Carroll would claim a hard-fought second with Graham McCarthy third and Barbachetto in fourth. And here's how they line up for the final race of the weekend. The front row consists of Brett Harper, Christian Carroll and Graham McCarthy. Simon Barbachetto, Michael Jeffrey and Somfort Rosner complete the second row. Simon Spicak, Mark Wolford and Mark Nassif occupy the third row, whilst on row 4 we have Christian Deering, Lee Appleby and Will Stewart. The sun setting at the end of the main straight here could cause a minor drama or so. You can see the reflection on the Hi-Tec Oils signage on the left-hand side of the Hi-Tec Oils main straight. But here we go, underway now for the final time in the Races.World Formula Oz race, heading down into the whole shot. I think you'll find may well have been Christian Carroll.
Down into, I think it might be Brett Harper now who's taken over the lead, yeah, and I think also Barbachetto got away to, oh!
2 of them off, 3 of them off, make it 4.
One down, so the racing will continue. There's no break in that. One of those was, I think that might have been Simon Spicak on machine number 42 who was involved in that. Just all of them outbroke themselves, I think, Lance.
You were correct, Dave. Harper, Barbachetto and Jeffrey, your front 3 runners at the moment.
So out of Dunlop they come after coming down the run from the Bikebiz corner, bikebiz.com.au, and down the hill into Dunlop. Now they're heading up around the Matrice Dampers corner, and a slower pace at the back. I can't see, there's no... the pace seems to be just a little slow, Lance.
Yeah, it is a little bit. I think everybody's a little bit circumspect late in the afternoon. It's been a hot, long day. The sun will come into play. It will be a factor, especially when they come down the Hi-Tec Oils main straight into turn 1.
Just looking at Simon Spicak there. That's his machine there.
Yeah, the number 42 of Spicak doing a good job throughout the entire weekend on the Spicak Transport BMW S1000RR. But our race leader Harper doing a fantastic job, Brett, on the Team Gast Racing ASR Wealth Advisor, Pizza Pasta Please, Harper Cleaning, MYM Consulting, Suzuki GSX R1000.
Barbachetto is there in second, Jeffrey is third, McCarthy is fourth, then Deering, Rosner, Nassif, Spicak, Berman, Colpin, Appleby, Carroll, Stewart, Smith and Fairley. But Brett Harper, Lance out in front, and 1.8 second lead now into second sector. So he's really making this every race, every turn of the wheel a winner, isn't he?
He certainly is. Harper, Barrichetto, and then we've got Jeffrey, Michael Jeffrey on the Motor Racer Powerhouse Group Yamaha R1. Is doing a good job to take up the challenge and at this stage be on the podium.
Yes, it's good to see Simon Barrichetto up there in second place. He's had a less than successful weekend so far. He's had a few mechanical issues and this and that and the other thing happening to him. So it's good to see him up there battling for a place on the podium.
So it is the Suzuki of Harper that's leading the Yamaha of Barrichetto and the Yamaha of Jeffrey in third place. But the battles are still raging on further through the field. We have Mccarthy, Deering and Rosner in 4th, 5th and 6th placing.
Yes, they're coming down the Racers World straight now, tipping into Shark Leathers.
That's Carroll that's leading a bunch of 5, Berman, Appleby, Colpin and Stewart, and they're battling it out for 9th through to 13th place respectively.
It's doing a pretty good job there, pretty solid exact lines there, just drifting it out as far as they can to the yellow line, almost to the concrete apron there as they head down the Hi-Tec oil straight, head over towards Bike Tech and of course up then down to bikehaggle.com.au hill.
Out of turn 1 this battle, down into turn 2 bikebiz.com.au. It's an area that has certainly tested out the intestinal fortitude of many and done exactly what they've done
it again.
Right on cue, going a little bit too far and a little bit too deep.
Barrichetto's still there in second spot, but right on behind him is Jeffrey on 153. They've got a good little gap over McCarthy and Deering, Rosner and Nassif and Spikak, then Carroll, Berman, Copeland and Woodford.
Further back through the field, this 5-way battle for I think it's about 9th through to 13th.
Is that Carroll, Woodford, Berman, Copeland, Stewart and Appleby. It's another battle between the two 50s, 53 which is Rosner and 54 Deering. Where are they battling it out for, Lance? They're battling it out for 5th place.
5th place indeed, yes, Deering and Rosner. McCarthy up there in 4th place, trying to tap onto the back of Jeffrey and Barrichetto, but it's all about Harper, who has simply streaked the field.
Yep, 4.4 seconds. That's not a bad gap, is it? What are we?
Pretty
3/4 of the way through. They're on lap 4.
Lap 4 of 6.
Yep. Barrichetto still holding 153 out. That's Jeffrey as they come out of Dunlop and head up towards Matisse Dampers.
Yeah, but look at McCarthy behind them there. He's gained a lot of ground over the last lap. And I reckon he's going to be a real force to be reckoned with coming into the latter stages. Graham McCarthy on the Maverick Racing Developments Kawasaki ZX-10R. Yes. He's the green machine at the rear of these three. This is the battle for 2nd and 3rd place too, remember, Dave?
Yes, yep. That's good. Oh, Barrichetto getting the front end of the R1 bouncing around. Got it under control now.
In turns 11 and 12, Shark Leathers. Completing lap 4 of 6. About to start their penultimate lap.
Yes, Harper as well, clear leads, isn't he? 4.7 seconds now.
Yeah, 4.8, opened it up by 0.1 over that last one.
Yep.
Barrichetto, Jeffrey and McCarthy battling it out for 2nd, 3rd and 4th placing.
Barrichetto's not looking too bad there in second, Lance. It's a fairly handy little break that he's got over Jeffrey McCarthy, so he's looking pretty good with a lap and a half to go to get up on the podium at least in 2nd place or maybe 3rd, but I reckon 2nd's looking pretty good for him.
We'll find out within 1.5 laps to see where it ends up as we're concentrating on this battle as they head out of bikehaggle.com.au hill down into Dunlop. The 41 of Carroll tried to poke his nose up the inside of Spikak. Couldn't do it that time. Spikak closed the door. Deering in front of him. Rosner in front of him.
Yep, they're all showing different lines all now. There's Spikak. Is that Spikak down the inside of Deering? Yep. So he's moved up a spot. Where does that put him, Rod?
Puts him up into 6th place.
6th spot. Okay, good. Good result. Good solid result. Anywhere in the top 10 is a good result here.
It certainly is.
Yes, we've seen some very solid rides from this field in this Racers World Formula Oz. But Bren Harper has been the standout.
There's a good manoeuvre being put on there by Carroll up the inside of Spicak again. These two have been hammer and tong at it for the last couple of laps. Spicak relegated back to 7th place now by Carroll. As we're on our final lap, our race leader has already negotiated these two Dunlop turns left and right. It's all about Barbachetto holding off the challenge of Jeffrey in 3rd place.
Let's see what happens. They come up to Matrice Dampers and head over towards Shock Treatment Hill, around the back of Shock Treatment Hill. But Barachetto looking very solid there in 2nd place. Swings it around left now behind Shock Treatment Hill and down into Racers.World. Although Jeffrey's closed a little bit on him. But we'll wait and see how it pans out. But there's our leader, Lance. Untroubled, isn't he, is Brett Harper.
Yeah, Brett Harper doing a great job on the Team Gas Racing ASR Wealth Advisors. Pizza Pasta Palace. Pizza Pasta, please, I should say. Harper Cleaning and MYM Consulting, Suzuki GSXR 1000. He's been dominant in this, and he certainly deserves all the kudos and accolades.
Great win. And Barbachetto will take 2nd. That's a good result for him. So after all the hard work he's had to put in over the weekend, so he takes 2nd. Jeffrey takes 3rd. McCarthy, Rosner, Carroll, Spicak, Deering, Nassif, and Woodford take out the top 10.
Yeah, no, it was as you said, after yesterday, today's temperature's completely different. It was a tough race. As I said, I was waiting for Simon to catch up somewhere along the line, and as I said for myself, just this weekend, just getting me and myself and the team, just getting to where we are. The injuries that we sustained has been fantastic, so couldn't ask for anything more, and look forward to another year with racing.
And just like that, the curtain falls on the opening round of the Hi-Tec Oils Australian FX-Superbike Championship. The next time we go racing will be at the Queensland Raceway on the 28th and 29th of April. For more information and the latest news on the series, head to fxsuperbikes.com.au. But for now, we thank you for your company and look forward to seeing you again in Queensland.